Coming up on CHGO Cubs, presented by Toyota and Bet365. The Cubs are one of the best teams in baseball, and here comes division play. Plus, we'll take a look at possible pitfalls in that division race and a little game I like to call Cubs Draft Hit or Miss. Vibe with us. It's a Monday fun day. Next. Hey, Chicago, what do you say? This is the CHGO Cubs Podcast driven by Toyota. Let's go places and Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary. Use the code CHGO365 at sign up. Hi, everybody. Luke Stuckmeyer, Cody Del Mendo, Sarah running the ones and twos today. We're back for the second time in like 12 hours. Here we are. Cubs with a scheduled off day. This is the bonus of playing those games in Japan. Kind of stagnant for a little while. Now you have a few days off, which is nice. Yeah. We're going to talk about the great homestand. We're going to talk about what's next, which is crucial play against the division. And we're going to take a look at each of those teams in the division and see how they've done this first month of April so far, with April basically almost in the books now. And a little game I like to call Cubs Draft Hit or Miss, because I hear the Bears guys getting all excited about the draft. And I just want to say, wait for it.
In the promotional tweet on Twitter, I called it a game of what if, because that's
a game of what if as well.
Basically what we
were
I
didn't even go. I tried not to look up too many that could have been like, and they could have taken this guy and this guy, because that's the baseball draft. Anyways, I just saw as we were about to start the show that MLB Network put out their power rankings, and your Chicago Cubs are the third best team in professional baseball according to MLB Network. Do you feel good about that? I believe they were right around there last time. They go Mets, Dodgers, Cubs, Padres, Tigers. And while I'm at it, who had that after 1 month of baseball? I don't think too many people would have said those would be the five teams in that order.
Yeah, I mean,
especially with the Cubs schedule, number one.
Yeah, the Cubs being there is surprising. If you would have told any of us a month ago, I don't think we would have been top five. Maybe on just inside the top 10, or on the outside looking in, but yeah. I don't
think I'd have thrown the Tigers in the top five either. Not that I thought they were going to be bad. I just wouldn't have said top five in baseball.
Right, because well, I would say their division is a lot more competitive, but in many ways, it's kind of similar to the NL Central too.
Yeah, right. They're the Cubs of the American League right now.
Sure.
Maybe. You might argue that.
I think when you look at the Royals, you look at the Tigers, Royals, and then, the Twins have been a massive disappointment. A lot of people picked them to win the division. And then the Guardians, the White Sox are bad.
The White Sox,
but there's those three teams there. You could have made an argument, hell, four of those teams if the Twins weren't being so bad right now. But going into the year, there's four teams there that you're like, they could win the division.
Yeah.
And the Central last year was actually really good. Multiple teams made the playoffs. And I don't think the American League is that much different. It could happen again this year. So I think you can make an argument that their division is, better than what people are saying, or think at this current moment. But yeah, I didn't think the Tigers would be top five.
Craig Brindle says, third best team while playing without a third baseman. Hi to everybody in the live YouTube chat here on the CHGO Cubs YouTube channel. If you have not subscribed and liked it yet, please take time to do so right now. We'll sit and wait for you to do that. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. We appreciate it. And tell a friend, tell a neighbor, tell a loved one. Tell a stranger.
Under 400 away from 3,000.
Let's get there.
Correct.
Can we get there before the big trip? We'll tell you about the big trip coming to Milwaukee this weekend. Don't miss out. There's just a couple tickets left. Details coming in just a few minutes. So 5-3 homestand. I guess you could say, well, it could have been 6-2. Yeah. But you'll take 5-3. It's a winning homestand. You win a series against the Diamondbacks, you win a series against the Dodgers, and then you lose 2 in a row to finish off the homestand against the Phillies. So maybe a disappointing finish, but you just played 3 teams that are most likely going to the postseason, and you finished 5-3. Some would say without a third baseman, some would say without your ace.
And some would say with a really bad bullpen.
And some would say with a really bad bullpen. And some would say I don't want to get into the owner thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I know some would say.
Despite this ownership group.
I know what they would say. And despite the general, I know what you're going to say. So please don't go there right now.
We're just getting started, guys.
Hey, the starting rotation minus 1 inning from Ben Brown was good in the last series. And that included Jamison Tyone, who was one of the bright spots last night. He had the quote afterwards saying, we probably have a little bit of a target on our back. We're the Chicago Cubs. Teams like it when we come to town. They want to beat us. I think there's no time to step off the gas. Talking about, okay, now you hit the road again. Mm-hmm. And this time it's division teams that are on the way. And let's be honest, they didn't do well against the division last year. And it's really, in my mind, one of the big reasons they didn't go to the postseason. Yeah, the bullpen was one of them, but playing poorly against your own division was a problem because it was a bad division.
Well, it was one of the reasons why entering the season I openly said that I didn't care about the tough April schedule because they played a tough April schedule last season and then really fell off in May, and they did it against their own division, you know? Mm-hmm. So to me, this is now time to, you know, I guess you could call the next month a revenge tour in a way of, you know, taking this division and running with it because you are far and away on paper better than any team in this division. And I'm not saying that based off how the season has started. I'm saying that based off I've said this at the beginning of the year. We all thought that they were favorites to win the division, that they were that they should win the division and own this division every year based off the who they are. But based off roster wise, at the beginning of the year, I thought that they would do it. And now we've played a month. We've seen some developments. You're seeing Kyle Tucker putting together an MVP caliber season, along with Pete Crow-Armstrong. You can make an argument putting together an MVP caliber season. 2.0 Fangraphs WAR, tied for third in baseball entering today. Mm-hmm. And you've had that development. You've had some other good developments even out of your bullpen, despite how bad it's been overall. You know, so and the catching tandem's been awesome. So. Those were problems at the beginning of last year, the catching and your bullpen. And I think the bullpen is starting to kind of stabilize a little bit. It's still not perfect.
And if you could get Jesse Chavez.
Oh, shut up. It's starting to stabilize a little bit sooner than it did last year, right?
Yeah, hopefully.
And your catching tandem's been better. Your biggest hole right now is third base for sure.
The back end of the bullpen is unquestionably better than it was last year at this point. Now, you mentioned the star power, and PCA has been one of the great revelations of the first month of the season, and you like to remind me each day where it all stands, where it is for F4, where we're at in Major League Baseball, wins above replacement, Aaron Judge 2.7. You mentioned PCA at 2.0. Well, Corbin Carroll 2.1, PCA 2.0, Tatis 2.0, so he's tied for third, then Pete Alonso and Kyle Tucker. Yep. So when you have 2 of the top 6 players,
in terms of overall value,
the first month of the season, when you have 2 of those in all of baseball, that's a pretty good reason why you're playing good baseball right now, right? Like you may have 2 superstars on this team, and that would be the best thing that could come out of a regular season besides making the team. If you can come out of this season and say, we not only have 1 superstar moving forward, we have 2 superstars moving forward. That means for me signing Tucker and PCA has become a superstar. Then you move forward from there.
Yeah, no, it's been a fun development. All of my sarcastic tweets over the offseason and spring training about Pete, dreaming about, just an absolute monster season. Mm-hmm. We're not even a full month in, and he's already been worth 2 wins above replacement. That's insane. He was projected for 2.8 Fangraphs WAR for the season.
Yeah.
By the projection systems. He's about to blow that out the water if he keeps this up. He'll pass this up before May even ends. So I know there's a lot of fans who don't care about that, but it does describe the value that he brings in all facets of the game, whether it's defense, base running, speed, and then the bat has been there. You know, like you can make an argument that ball that he hit last night would have gone over the fence if the wind wasn't blowing in.
Yeah.
He hit it off the wall. So I think the power surge from PCA has probably been the most fun and like mind-blowing thing about Pete this year, because I've never thought that he would hit more than 15 to 20 homers a season.
What did he tell ESPN? This is the most fun I've had.
Yeah, something like that.
Playing ball.
So we've talked a ton about Pete this month, but I can't stop talking about him because it's such a fun development. There were people legitimately concerned, thinking that this guy was never going to be more than what he was last year, but he is legitimately playing like one of the best players in baseball right now.
I didn't bring the reality spray today because I didn't want to be a buzzkill on a Monday.
Well, they were coming off a loss too, so that would be.
I didn't need to, because I look at the chat today, and after just 2 losses, the first time they've had back-to-back losses in a series since they played in Japan. You've got Becky saying Tucker won't be back. You've got go up just a little bit, Sarah. Craig said they could easily have another bad May. Starting pitching, black hole at third, lacking bullpen. King of the North, Dansby's a black hole in the 5 spot. Guys, they lost 2 games in a row. They're still 17-12.
Dansby's defense too is still good. I agree with Becky. His offense is but his defense is still solid.
Everybody wants Horton up. I don't need a reality spray. The chat is the reality spray.
I'm telling you, the longer Cade Horton stays in Iowa, the better it is long term.
I feel like sometimes for you, when you get too excited, that's how I brought out the reality spray. I think for the chat, I need a positivity potion, because they deep dive down when it.
Well, I just don't get it, considering they're 17-12 and
chat and Twitter need positivity potion.
They swept the Dodgers. I mean, you're not going to win every single series. That's their first stateside series loss of the season in terms of, or at home at least. Like, I think a large part of it is just PTSD from the last 2 Mays. Like, it wasn't just last May. In 2023, the May wasn't good either. But you can look at these rosters. So many people thought entering the season that this roster wasn't that much different from 2024, and I guess with some of the core players, but Carson Kelly's been an incredible find for them. Yeah. Amaya looks like he's taken a step forward, which you need. And as much as we can sit here and complain about ownership not spending money, good organizations find a way to develop good young players and not only develop them, but also give them time to go through the ups and downs of being a young player. And we've seen that with Amaya, and we saw that with PCA. Now we're watching it with Shaw. We need Shaw to take a step forward when he comes back, but like this is part of the process. So I personally think most people that are probably negative or pessimistic right now are just, it's because of PTSD from the last year or last 2 years. So I just don't think the roster is the same at all. And I do like to see the front office / Craig Counsell being, they're being aggressive with like roster moves.
Yes.
They're not just waiting for guys.
They're desperate themselves. They know that their jobs are on the line. So they're like anything that can move the needle just a little bit.
Yeah. But in many ways, it's like, why haven't you been doing it? In many ways though, why didn't you do that the last couple years, So, a lot of people in our chat have been complaining about Justin Turner. I don't know how much longer Justin Turner's leash is, but I do know that he's going to make it through April, and I would be shocked if he's let go before the end of May, just because he's making $6 million and he is who he is. So, but at the same time, the way that they have made roster moves and kind of just sent people back to Iowa or this or that, if they're not playing well, it is kind of like, well, how long are they going to give Justin Turner? I'm willing to wait another month with Justin Turner, but are the Cubs? I mean, they know more than me.
That's right. And I've been a little frustrated with his slow start, but I didn't expect him to be a superhero. Gary has a move that I think a lot of people are talking about, a hypothetical move, that a lot of people are thinking about right now. If Seiya's wrist continues to be a problem and you have to skip some games, why not just short stint him, and while Mo Baller is hot, give Ballesteros a little run at DH? Because eventually, we've already heard from Craig Counsell that a lot of these guys are going to get their chance to come in and shine at some point this season. How far away is Ballesteros? Maybe not that far, depending on how Seiya does. Now, it's nice to have a day off here.
Yeah, 13-game hitting streak for Ballesteros, I believe. So I get why people are calling for his name. He's killing it down in AAA, but we've also seen how it goes from the jump from AAA all the way to major leagues. And the difference between Ballesteros and some of the other guys is, he's 21 years old. I think they'd probably give Casey the opportunity before Ballesteros personally.
Interesting. Well, we may find
But
out
either way,
sooner rather than later.
Either way, they have to put one of them on the 40-man to make the move. And that's what makes it tough. Now, Alcantara, on the other hand, he's already on the 40-man.
Right.
So they could call him up. Maybe you move Ian Happ to the DH for a little bit or something like that. And I say that because I think Alcantara can be a really good defender, and is. So
we're going to talk more about it, including the division. I've seen Gary's already mentioned something I want to talk about, and so has Becky. But first, a word from our sponsors.
Ooh.
Toyota has 25 vehicles with available all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive. They have more than any other auto brand. Chicago's weather can be brutal, but Toyota helps make it easier. From the sleek Camry all-wheel drive to the Corolla hybrid all-wheel drive, the Toyota Tundra, a truck known for its power, durability, and off-road capabilities, perfect for our weather. Heading to the big game, the spacious Grand Highlander is the right ride with all-wheel drive to keep you and yours safe. So you bring the action, Toyota will bring the traction. Toyota, let's go places. What a time to sign up and be a CHGO diehard right now.
Yes.
This is it. Upgrade your fandom today. Get access to our exclusive written content, a free t-shirt, plenty of discounts on future merch and events, plus access to our CHGO Discord lounge where we hang out, talk Chicago sports, and so much more. We didn't even mention the credibility card known as the CHGO Diehard card.
Yeah.
Go to allchgo.com for the latest information on how you can join thousands of CHGO diehards already in our community. We can't wait to connect with you on an even greater level. In fact, take that diehard card in Milwaukee, slam it down in a Subway. They might give you free tickets. Who knows?
Sounds like
Probably not, but you could try it.
It's worth a try, right? Speaking of Milwaukee, the Cubs are heading to Milwaukee this weekend, and you could be too. Kick off the summer right with the CHGO Cubs crew. Me, Luke, and Corey are taking the party, and Sarah are taking the party.
Going up there.
Taking the party to Milwaukee for Cubs Brewers on Saturday, May 3rd and it starts at Potawatomi Casino and Hotel in Milwaukee, which is, I believe, it's a 10-minute drive, and there might be a shuttle. We still haven't confirmed about the shuttle situation yet, but anyway, we're doing a live pregame party. We're doing a pregame party with a live show before the game. You can hang with us, talk baseball, talk about Luke's food takes, and all of my bad baseball takes that you guys love to tell me about. And there's included with it is the lunch buffet. There's drink tickets that come along with it. And then the bonus is if you're 21 or older, of course, you get $100 in casino play at the Potawatomi Casino, right? Can't say it. So it's $50 just for the base package. So you get that $100 in casino play. You get a little lucky. You might pay for your trip just for that event, and you might just be leaving with money instead of losing money. There's add-ons available. I think we have a few tickets left to the game that Saturday night. It is a night game. So I think it's $75 if you're not a diehard. It's cheaper if you are a diehard, I believe. And then if you want to stay the night at the hotel, it's $275. So base package, again, $50. And it's all at allchgo.com/events. It should be the very first thing that comes up when you go to the page.
I also tagged the link in the comments for the live YouTube channel.
Okay.
Get on board.
Awesome.
We're going to be there.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun time.
Listen, while you were doing that, I was looking up something important, and that is the Kopp's Custard Preview flavor of the day. Okay. We're missing out on key lime pie. That's Tuesday. The one we're really missing out on is this Wednesday. They have their grasshopper fudge, which is the greatest custard I have ever had in my life. The good news is my sister brought me a pint for Easter, so bingo, credit to her. Saturday's flavor of the day, one of my favorites, good old standard mint chip.
Okay.
Mint chip is now they always have chocolate and vanilla, but they'll have mint chip and also chocolate bourbon pecan pie. I'm out on that. Mm-hmm. Sunday, if you were to go Sunday on the way home after a nice stay at Potawatomi Casino, Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, KUPPS for Kopp's, and strawberry lemonade, lemon strawberry custard, with real strawberries.
Let's go. Shout out to Chicago Vince in the chat. Says, excited to meet us on Saturday. Though he is frustrated the Brewers would schedule a game 15 minutes after the Kentucky Derby.
And down the stretch they come. Cookie dough
Blame
great,
the Brewers.
Gary. Love me some cookie
Brewers
dough,
don't know
too.
how to schedule games. They don't know how to put together workable escalators. And we have to go and keep the electricity on.
That's right.
That's
I'm
what
still.
we do.
I forgot to text Joe at Obvious Shirts. Can you make me a shirt that says "Stay off the escalators"? And I was just going to stand by the escalator for the entire game as a public service announcement.
Just so everyone's aware, too, we will be taking the stairs.
Yes.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Like, not even a joke.
Right?
We are
No,
not taking
it's not even joking.
escalators.
Sarah actually crashed with Braggs on that.
Yeah. I should have mentioned that the game tickets are in the 200
200 level.
So I don't even think we'll need.
No, you
to
don't
take
even
the-
need. You don't have
the
to worry about it.
escalators.
Our GM, Jake, made sure of that this
I
year.
think that
Yeah.
might be good content, though, social content. If I wore that shirt and then just for 3 hours, we just did a live feed of me standing by the escalator. Don't get on that. Don't get on that. Don't get on that.
I think they're.
You're going to want to rethink that.
It'd be really funny when like their game day people come and tell
Yeah.
you to move.
Yeah. This is a picture of Bragg's first knee surgery. Here's his second knee surgery. Here's the pretzels I put on his knee. Okay.
Anyway,
So the Brewers are part of it. Here comes the division. We're going to look at this a couple different ways. It's the Cubs in first at 17-12. Then the Reds, a game and a half back right now entering the week. Brewers 3 back. Cardinals 4.5 back. Pirates in last, 6 games back. Here's the problem, Cody. The Cubs were 23-29 against the division last year. And 7-6 against the Pittsburgh Pirates. That's not going to get it done this year. They are the last place Pirates for a reason. So I say let's start with the Pirates since that's the team that's coming up this week. You have Shota, Imanaga, Matthew Boyd, and Colin Ray going for the Cubs. So you got 3 good pitchers going. You do get Ray versus Skeens in the getaway game, which should be interesting. Here's the deal about the Pirates. The reason they're in last place is their offense is terrible.
yeah.
Terrible. They are 25th in runs per game at 3.5. What are the Cubs? They're averaging like 7.
They would have to be. I think the Cubs are first.
I would think so too. But they have been. I don't know if they still are, but they have been. The Pirates are 25th in runs per game, 23rd in hits per game, 26th in batting average, 28th in slugging, 27th in OPS, and 23rd in home runs. They can't hit the ball. So I like my chances with Imanaga, Boyd, and Ray going on the mound for the Cubs in this series. Then you look at something else they do poorly. Fielding percentage. They give you extra opportunities. They have some really good starting pitchers, but their defense is 27th in baseball. And the pitching has been mid, partly because of that, and partly because not everybody is Paul Skeens.
It's been mid.
But the offense in general, right now, it's like they have some guys that are underperforming. I was trying to look through their team, and it was like, well, if there's a pretty simple message here on the Reds, or not the Reds, on the D-backs, it was like, don't let Eugenio Suarez beat you, right? We didn't do very well with that message. We ignored the message, and he hit a lot of home runs against the Cubs.
Did you see him hit 4 home runs?
Yeah, I did, and they lost that game. Here's the message for playing against the Pirates. Do not let Oneil Cruz beat you.
Yeah.
Oneil Cruz has 8 home runs and 12 stolen bases. He is their offense right now. So if you can avoid him doing damage, those 3 pitchers will be much better off, Shota, Boyd, and Colin Ray.
Yeah, I mean, Mark in the chat says Shota needs to go 7 shutout. I mean, I would love 7 shutout, but I'll just say this, like, his last couple outings, not only has he not really been able to go that deep, but, you know, he's given up some home runs, and I think the wind blowing out and conditions at Wrigley didn't necessarily help him, and he's a fly ball pitcher and all that. So, you know, he just needs to get back to, you know, how he was those first couple starts of the year. And I think he can, especially against this Pirates offense. This is a good matchup for him, I think, especially with the, you know, yeah, like you said, Oneil Cruz is their offense. Brian Reynolds is still really good, but
They have guys that are good. They're just not playing right well. Like Oneil Cruz has 8 home runs. The next highest total on the team is multiple guys with 3. I mean, they're not hitting a lot of home runs. They're just not hitting. Their offense is ranked right almost at the very bottom of baseball in almost every category.
And Connor Joe, I believe, is not in Pittsburgh anymore. who was like this.
Yeah, he always seemed to be the guy.
He's some massive Cubs killer, and in the last couple years,
Sawinski too, the local guy Sawinski. Every time he came up, it seemed like he was doing something. Jack,
but he had a terrible year last year. I don't know. Is he still in the Pirates organization?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway,
Look up Jack.
Considering the rotation situation right now, you got Imanaga and Boyd. Boyd was somehow, some way, was able to give you 6 his last time out with the wind blowing out at Wrigley. He gave up 10 hits to the Dodgers. Overall he's pitched really well. So I feel really good with Shota and Boyd these first two. Colin Ray versus Skeens on was that on Thursday?
Thursday.
That's kind of a toss up just because Skeens is going his last start. The Pirates won 3-0 and Skeens dominated the Dodgers. So we know how good Skeens is. We know that he can be dominant, this and that. So to me, it is important to win these first two. And just because Skeens pitches on Thursday doesn't mean that I'm already chalking up as a loss. It's just the fact that you have to find a way to get him out of the game early by forcing him to throw a lot of pitches, and you have to find a way to not let the Pirates score against you either. So even when on days you face Skeens, you still have a good shot to win because their offense sucks. So, I understand that there's all kinds of scenarios that could play out, but looking at it on paper, the Cubs have a really good shot here to win these next two games. Coming off a loss, off day, go out to Pittsburgh, get Ian Happ going in his hometown like he always does, and
just win these series. I'm not even saying
win these series, but also when we're talking about how they didn't play well against the division last year, well, last year's team didn't have Kyle Tucker.
Okay? They did not. Somebody was complaining about Kyle Tucker in the chat. How dare you?
How can you complain about Kyle Tucker?
Jack Sawinski is batting $128 with 5 hits so far this season.
What a fall.
Until he has a series of a lifetime against the Cubs.
Yeah.
You know what? By the way, Corey and Brendan will do the show on Thursday. We won't do a post-game show on Thursday because Corey and Brendan do their show Thursday night. I'm marking it right now. We're not doing a show, and I'm kind of mad because I know it'll be like the fastest game of the year.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Skeens and Colin Ray will be like, there'll be no hits in the game until the end, and somebody will win 1-0.
So we won't have post-game immediately after the game.
There won't be a post-game right after.
But Corey and Brendan will recap the game on Thursday.
And the series.
Yeah.
So let's see. That's the Pirates. That's what we're looking at with the Pirates. That's the big series coming up. Then we have still the Brewers to talk about, the Cardinals to talk about. You want to do the Brewers next?
Sure.
Since we're
playing them next?
Yeah.
After
we'll do a break in the middle of the Brewers. Here's the Brewers. The Brewers sit in third place. They're 3 games back. They're 14-15. Offense has been pretty good, but it's interesting how they're doing it. They're scoring 5 runs a game. That's ranked 5th in baseball. Hits, they're ranked 9th in baseball. Average, 9th in baseball. Stolen bases, 2nd with 37 stolen bases. Of course, the Cubs are 1st with 44. They're 17th in home runs. So they're sort of small balling a little bit in Milwaukee. If you just kind of look at the numbers, they're getting 5 runs a game, but they're not hitting a ton of home runs.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens when Willy Adames is gone and you don't replace him.
But Christian Yelich is still playing baseball.
Did you see his really bad missed catch
against
the Giants?
No.
Oh, man. It was one of the funniest moments of the season so far.
Oh, I'm going to look that up afterwards.
I believe it happened last Thursday. We had an off day.
Oh, Bobby Blanco was joking about Tucker's side.
Oh, okay.
I take back any slander headed your way.
Sorry, no slander to Bobby Blanco. Yeah, no, it was like, it was kind of a line drive, but like a looping line drive. Like for a major league player, he should probably catch that. It was ruled an error. But I believe it was a tie game, and he gave up the game-winning run because he just flat out missed the ball. It was like, in many ways, it was Seiya-esque against the Braves.
But his back must be okay.
For him to be playing the outfield, yeah.
He's playing the outfield. Like, he's got 5 homers and 6 stolen bases. And remember, this is a guy that sort of at the end of last year, there was a little buzz going around baseball. Like, is Yelich done?
Yeah.
He's having a back surgery. Is he going to play again?
Mm-hmm.
And he is playing again, and he's there. And they're doing Brewer things, and Jackson Chourio is a good baseball player. So if I have a message going into the Brewers series, it is, don't let Jackson Chourio beat you.
Right. Yeah, I think one stat I saw, and I don't know what the numbers are for it now, but one stat I saw was like when the Brewers score 4 runs or more, they hadn't lost a game. And when they score 4 runs or less, they don't win a lot. So that was all. I saw that stat like maybe a week or 2 ago. So I'm curious where that's at now. But they're coming off this weekend. They lost a series to Cardinals, I believe. I believe they lost that series, but they won the Sunday game. They scored 7 runs. I think they scored less than 4 runs those first 2 games against the Cardinals. So I think a lot of their team is still the same. I do think they're having some back-end bullpen troubles here. McGill hasn't been, at least based off some of the highlights I've seen, he's blown some games for them. And that's just not something that I'm used to seeing from the Brewers bullpen over this 7-year stretch.
They seem to know what they're doing. Devin Williams out with the Yankees.
Yeah,
he's no longer their closer.
But to me, their starting rotation still is they're probably their biggest problem. They're not getting enough length. But their bullpen is pretty strong for the most part. That's always been the problem with them, except for when they had Burns and Woodruff in their primes. But their offense last year was probably one of the best in baseball. This year, it's looks like it's ranging around the top 10 still. So, how chaos can happen at Miller Park, Wrigley North. To me, what's important about beating them next weekend is just not giving away outs, like just playing clean baseball because.
So we got a top 3.
Yeah.
Right? We have avoid Churio, avoid the escalators, and don't make mistakes in foolish baseball plays. And
it's easier said than done, obviously. But truthfully, this game against Milwaukee, the series against Milwaukee this weekend, is kind of a statement series. Like, the Cubs need to go into Milwaukee and at least take 2 or 3 and put a statement out there like, hey, we're back. You know what I mean? That, to me, that's what they're 14-15 right now. They have not looked like the Brewers that I feel like I've seen over the course of the last 7-8 years, and the Cubs need to take advantage of that. So,
all right, more on the Cubs division and a little game of draft hit or miss. But first, a word from our sponsors, Cody.
Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary is your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping, a place where all kinds of visitors are welcome to explore, discover, and purchase a wide array of high-quality products. Sunnyside has everything you need to elevate your summer. What are some of their amazing features that they might have? Well, Luke, I'll tell you this. They're the one-stop shop for all your cannabis needs. They have an expertly curated menu with over 100 strains to choose from, plus easy online ordering and in-store pickup, which I know is perfect for you. All right. Sunnyside is Illinois' favorite dispensary with locations in the city, in Wrigleyville, River North, all the way in the suburbs. You can go as far south as Champaign, as far north as South Beloit, and more. If you're starting out, Sunnyside has expert guidance and brands they know you'll love, like Good News and Mindy's. If you're a pro, they've got you covered with over 100 strains on the menu, like I said, and the new ones added daily. Expertly curated wellness advisors, staff picks collection as well. They know you'll love Cresco and Florcal's incredible quality and consistent products. So visit sunnyside.shop for bright buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Enter promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Bright buys every day, only for 21 plus or Illinois medical card holders.
Shop savings to celebrate during the Jeep Celebration event at Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram. Now is your chance to score a great deal on your next vehicle. Head to Ray CDJR on Route 12 today to choose from their huge inventory of new Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram vehicles. And right now, get up to $12,000 off MSRP on select new 2024 Jeep Wrangler models with a dealer discount, or lease the new 2025 Jeep Wrangler Sport 4xE for only $129 a month. Plus, shop over 125 vehicles that are priced under $20,000. With a friendly team of brand experts, the team at Ray CDJR is there to help you during each step of your car shopping journey. And with Ray's price promise, oh, you got to love that. You can shop confidently with no add-ons, no hidden fees, ever. The price you see is the price you pay. It's that simple. So go check out our partner today. Shop one of the Chicago area's largest inventories. Find the right new vehicle for you, then drive home happy. The team at Ray CDJR is the only one we recommend. Don't miss out on the Jeep Celebration event going on all month long for huge savings on your next Jeep Wrangler. For more information, Ray CDJR is on Route 12 in Fox Lake or online at raycdjr.com. cdjr.com, serving the community since 1963. So, Pirates and Brewers coming up this week. Division play finally starts. They made it a whole month into the season without playing the division. But finally, here it comes. And eventually, we will get to the other two teams, the Cardinals and the Reds. Speaking of the Cardinals, they're in fourth place. They're actually number one in baseball in hits and batting average and fourth in on-base percentage. And Willson Contreras with the headline of the week, Cody, that I know it caught your attention.
Headline of the weekend.
It piqued you. It was something that tweaked you. It piqued you.
Yeah.
Willson says he's sorry. Yes. Are you willing to accept his apology?
No, I'm not. Because you ask me a question, Luke, I'll ask you a question. You think he would have said this if the Cardinals had lived up to any expectations the last 2+ seasons?
I can't, probably not. But here's what I'm going to say. I knew you were not going to forgive him because nobody holds a grudge like Del Mendo.
Well, I think optics do matter for this. Why is
he doing it now? Right.
Exactly. Why wait now? When you left, said they're a better organization, you went to a team that was projected or favored to go to the World Series. And what'd you do? You freaking went 70-92. Then the next year you went 83 games. The Cubs have won more games than you have the last 2+ seasons. Why should I believe anything that he says when, to begin with, it didn't have to be this way? Do we sit here and complain about Cubs ownership spending money? Absolutely. But also, at the same time, the Cubs have actually been better without him. Maybe it was just a good move. Maybe it was the smart decision to not give all that money to an aging catcher, Luke. Maybe it was. You know?
See, I told you it tweaked you a little bit.
Willson Contreras has a special place in my heart. As much as I have this massive grudge about him, he has a special place in my heart. He helped them win the World Series. He will always be remembered. Whenever he retires and they invite him to Cubs convention and everything, this will be long gone. But for every single day that he is with the St. Louis Cardinals, this grudge rolls on because it didn't have to be this way. When Dexter Fowler went to the Cardinals, did he say that he went to the better organization? No. He literally is saying this stuff because the Cardinals have been bad. They are in purgatory. They don't know how to tank, and they suck. And he's trying to regain some people back from the Cubs fan base. That's what it feels like. To me, that's what it feels like. You don't have to agree with me. You can cub however you want to cub. You can fan however you want to fan. But he didn't have to say the stuff that he said. And that's my biggest problem with it. And to wait 2.5 years later or whatever to make some BS apology, miss me, man. Miss me.
At least he said he's sorry, and he admitted that he was so hurt that he just said some things to kind of be hurtful back. Right? Like that's sort of the...
Well, then explain to me why in his first games back at Wrigley Field, he tried to say something about how those words were taken out of context. Again,
Cody's not forgiving
you. Fan
Listen.
however you want to fan, but people don't forget. I'm not telling you that
some
you have to
Some people might
with
forget. Del Mendo never forgets.
It is what it is. And there was someone who told me that I need to get over it, and I straight up told them no. And the reason being is when you leave the Cubs, fine. But if you're going to leave the Cubs and go to the Cardinals, just get ready for fans that have some form of
No, you're not
saltiness towards this.
It's not that he went to the Cardinals. They can go. I don't hold that against anybody. If somebody's going to pay you money to play professional baseball, you go.
Sure.
The Green Bay Packers wanted to pay me to go play football right now, which would be stupid. But if they did, I would go. And I'd instantly become a Packers fan. The problem you have is that he went there and decided to look back and blow shade the other way when that was the team that had held him on his entire career. They had given him everything that he had with the Chicago Cubs. And he gave it back. Don't get me wrong. He gave it back as a Cub. The mistake he made was getting hurt and then making those comments when he went to the rival. So for that, you will not forgive him. And Fernando says, Team Cody Rage. And somebody says, I love when Cody releases the rage. And I'm here for it.
Let me just add to that.
Bobby Blanco says, I love it when Cody releases the rage.
Let me add this too, that he said this when he currently had, at the time, I don't know if it's improved since then, at the time was slashing 200, 269, 305 with a 63 WRC plus. So you can confidently say that he is off to a terrible start in 2025. And there was a quote from him a couple weeks ago saying, basically saying, asking why Cardinal fans weren't showing up to games.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I saw that.
It's
didn't have to say that when he was here in town, did he?
It's just one of those things that it's just like, sometimes the grass isn't always greener, man. I know the Cubs have issues. I know that ownership makes us all want to pull our hair out and makes us want to boycott sometimes. And honestly, I'm not saying the Cubs are perfect. There are plenty of reasons why I would have understood for him to leave. And I always said that. If you want to have some kind of grudge towards me, go look at any of the audio from the offseason of 2022. I openly said that Willson Contreras was going to be like Dexter Fowler if he legitimately went to the Cardinals. And I said that the Cardinals were making a mistake giving all that money to a catcher when they needed to be giving it to pitching. And what happened in 23? Their pitching was terrible.
Is he catching?
He's not catching.
Oh, no, I didn't think so. Gary Ross, by the way.
I'm done.
I'm sorry. You're done? You finished?
I'm done.
You okay?
I'm okay. I've had a lot of thoughts related to this over the last couple days, and it just grinds my gears. Anyway.
All right, that's over. Gary Ross thinks on my wavelength, and he was hinting at it earlier in the show in the live YouTube chat here at CHGO Cubs YouTube channel, and he mentioned Arenado. And one of the bigger questions facing the Cubs right now is how will third base play out the rest of the season? We can all hope that Matt Shaw figures it out at Iowa here, which is possible, goes down, figures it out, comes back, and all of a sudden he just needed a reboot, comes back, and becomes this guy that could be in the Rookie of the Year conversation. Yeah. That would be a great story at third base. That's the one I'd like to see the most. But if it's something else and you have to find an answer at third that's not Birdie, that's not Nicky Lopez, that's not Vidal Brujan, it has to be somebody else, well, you can look at a team that's not playing well, fourth place, 12-16. They don't want to pay a lot of money. And they've got Nolan Arenado, who's batting .255 with 3 home runs and .783 OPS.
Go ahead.
Would you be willing, if the Cardinals were, out of it later in the season, we're talking trade deadline type stuff,
right?
Would you be willing to take a flyer on Nolan Arenado as your third baseman for the rest of the season?
I mean, well, I know his last 2 years, because we talked a little bit about Arenado in the offseason. We
did.
And
because we weren't sure that it was the right move to just give it all to Matt Shaw.
Right.
Just hand him the keys to the car and the house.
Let's set the table a little bit. If we go back to the offseason, I think Bregman was always number one on our list if in terms of just third baseman, right? But I think when we discussed Arenado, we thought maybe it would be relevant or possible just because the rumor at the beginning of the offseason was that the Cardinals were going to do everything they can to move him. And then they had a trade set up with the Astros, and then he used his no-trade clause and said, I don't want to go to Houston. And then the Astros signed Christian Walker, and it just never came back and happened. And then they just didn't find anyone else to take him. And I want to say that that's largely because his numbers the last 2 years have dropped. But this year, off to a decent start, near 800 OPS. I don't know what the defense's numbers are, but yeah, that's where we're at, right? He's in age 34 season. He's got 2 more years after this season. So say that the Cubs are legitimately going to call the Cardinals and try to have a serious conversation with St. Louis about making a trade for Arenado. So if you're going to be taking on, he's going to make $16 million in 2026 and $15 million in 2027, 35 and 36 seasons. So 2.5 more seasons.
Yeah.
Not a bad deal.
No.
You're probably going to still have to give up, I don't want to say a lot, but something that I feel like if the trade were to go through, I think fans would be a little concerned because you're giving up a lot for a middle 30s third baseman. But
Yeah.
the only way that I see the Cardinals actually giving Arenado to the Cubs when they know that they're going to be selling off the rest of the year and the Cubs are in position to be a a playoff contender, right? Do they want to see Arenado go to their rival and have success with him? Depends
on what you're getting back.
Is the prospect capital that you're going to get worth it? That's what I'm saying. Depends on what you get back. I just think that the only way that it will happen is if the Cardinals, quote unquote, fleece the Cubs. I don't think the Cardinals want to move Arenado to the Cubs at all. And also, I don't even know if the Cubs are on Arenado's list.
Right.
So
all of it.
I think
but I think
a lot
you know
of
what
things
I would
matter.
say is, even if they're not on the list, Arenado would look at it and say, if I can play in the playoffs again,
Sure. Yeah.
get me out of this boring town.
Sure.
I mean,
absolutely.
why wouldn't he? What, you know what I mean?
Like, I think again, optics do matter in this situation, as do a lot of things. But Arenado's got to want to come to the Cubs, and the Cardinals have to be willing to trade him to the Cubs. And it's a very different situation compared to any other team in baseball. I think they'd be more willing to trade Arenado to any other team in the division than the Cubs.
Well, the White Sox don't like the Cubs either, but they still make trades. They're not in the same division or the same league, but they don't like the Cubs.
That's fair.
They don't like the Cubs. Reds are in second place at 15-13, top 10 in almost, I'm not going to say all categories, but they're top 10 in a lot of offensive categories right now, the Reds. The pitching, whip, hits allowed, and batting average against, number 2 in baseball. So they're doing a couple things pretty well in Cincinnati, and they have this guy named Hunter Green and another guy named Elly De La Cruz.
Some guy.
I still think I think there's a reason that they've landed in second place, and I still think that's the team that challenges the Cubs the most in the division. Could be the Brewers again, but I just wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being the Reds again, right there. I think they're the next best team in the division.
Well, I know last year when we talked about when you would talk, or the league, the talking heads, people like us would talk about the Reds, people would look at their problems, and their biggest problem being defense. All right. So I'm bringing up their defensive numbers right now. And yeah, Elly De La Cruz is awesome, and Hunter Green is a stud ace for them, right? When you look at team defensive runs saved, Cubs are actually second in baseball behind the Rays at 15. The Reds looks like they're in the middle of the pack. They're 21st, so bottom 10 in defensive runs saved with 1. If you look at outs above average, Cincinnati is 7th with 4 or 5. No, 4. I can't read. Sorry. But so it's
Don't
a
let the facts get in the way
little
of
bit
your
of a
story.
mixture. So I haven't watched a lot of the Reds. I've seen some of their highlights. Obviously, LA is a superstar. You can make the argument if he's not the best player in the division, like we say Kyle Tucker is, maybe he's the second best player in the division. I think he's better than Chourio. I think he's definitely proven more than PCA at this point. I think the probably the biggest thing against LA is he struck out a lot these last couple of years. And I think he struggled as a right-handed hitter compared to left-handed hitter. But they also have
He's a really good player.
They have other players too, like Matt McClain is back this year, which is a huge loss for them last year. Spencer Steer, Tyler Stevenson at catcher. They have some dudes, but it's all for me. It's always just been like, they've spent some decent money, but like Candelario has been a massive failure for them, right? So to me, like their rotation with Green, Lodolo, Brady Singer, they're definitely competitive. I'm interested. I want to see more, because I still don't understand why Pacoda picked them to win like 73 or 74 games. That one doesn't make sense to me. So I tend to agree that they're a problem. Yeah. But at the same time, why did Pacoda think they're going to be so bad? So I need to see more and see like what they're seeing. But I would say at this point, as we're sitting here today on April 28th, they scare me the most based off what we've seen so
in the
far.
division, and division play is about to start on Tuesday. All right, you ready for a quick game here? I've been listening to the Bears guys talk about the draft, and I see Gary's in the chat. All he wants to talk about is the draft. Why did they take this guy? Oh, every guy's project. You listen to those the NFL shows, NFL Network or whoever you want, the draft shows going on, and it's like every guy that gets picked sounds like he's a Hall of Famer. The description is always like, oh, tremendous hands. He's just got tremendous hands. You've never seen a guy like this. He's going to change the offense. And it goes for 6 rounds. Yeah. And then it goes for 7 rounds. And you're like, how could all of these guys contribute, right? Yeah. Like, if all of the guys the Bears just drafted actually contribute to this organization in a positive way, I'll fall over.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to happen. You hope that 3 of the guys in your draft class do something impressive for you.
Right. Well, I did see Bragg's tweet that he was going to throw up after they took Loveland at 10. So,
but then I heard, and everybody was talking about, not to make this a Bears podcast, but everybody was saying, well, they don't have any protection. And I heard I watched Chris Sims talk about Loveland and his blocking more than anything, about how he's just this tremendous blocker. He's a willing blocker. He wants to block. He seeks guys out.
Colson Loveland, I am extremely excited about. I was very happy about the pick, and that's all I have to say about that. Because this isn't a Bears podcast. But
okay, enough about the Bears. So I said, listen, it's not going to all work out for the Bears, just like it never works out in Major League Baseball, almost ever, which is what makes winning the World Series in 2016 so incredible, because the Cubs had draft leading up to it that went bingo, 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 and they were like key players on the team. Gary Ross says, Luke going to start tripping soon.
I don't know what that means.
I don't see I don't know what's happened to Gary.
Gary's still drunk from Friday.
Was he at the table with all those beer bottles?
No, but that was a fun table.
This is just some recent draft stuff I went back and was looking up. 2016, the Cubs draft Albert Almora, 6th overall in the first round.
2012.
2012, what did I say?
You said 2016.
Excuse me, 2012. They drafted him number 6 overall. Pierce Johnson, number 43. Paul Blackburn at number 56. Dwayne Underwood, 67. And David Bodie in the 18th round.
The other names you just didn't recognize?
Didn't recognize a single guy on the list other than those names. Now, Carlos Correa was number 1, and the pick after Almora by the Padres was Max Fried. So I ask you today, would you rather have Albert Almora tagging up and helping you win the World Series, but doing almost nothing else, or would you rather have Max Fried?
Well, based off what we have here in Notion, you also wrote down that Addison Russell went 11.
Addison Russell went 11 to the A's. Giolito 16. Corey Seager you could have had at 18. Michael Wacha 19. Overall.
But my biggest thing, or my biggest question, if we are going to relitigate,
don't look at Notion.
Well, I'm looking at it, but I'll stop looking at it. I can stop looking at it. But
not playing the game with me.
Sorry. But if we're going to relitigate the 2012 draft, for how much Theo Epstein loved Addison Russell, why didn't he just take him at 6? You know what I mean? Would I rather have Max Fried over
This was
Albert
Theo's
Almora?
first draft, too.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
This was it.
I mean, Albert Almora had one key play in Game 7 of the World Series, and he had a few other decent playoff moments. I remember, what was it, Game 3 NLDS 2016. It was extra innings. It was after Chris Bryant hit the game-tying homer. I think the next inning, Albert Almora had an incredible catch in right field near the foul line that, we're talking about a playoff game, extra innings. Like, it was an insane moment, right? He had that moment, and then he tagged up in Game 7.
He did tag up in Game 7.
Yeah. And I think 2017, for half a season, he was decent. He was a decent player. Fell off second half.
Just didn't happen. He was a Team USA guy. It was supposed to be match made in heaven. Theo's first pick, we all thought, this guy's can't miss. It's Theo.
Right.
How could it go wrong? Here's where the Cubs have gone wrong for years, where it was like, wow, what a drought. 2008, Andrew Kashner was their first pick at number 19. Their second pick that year at number 41 is actually still on the Cubs. 2008 draft pick, still on the Cubs.
Really?
Ryan Flaherty.
Oh, the bench coach?
The bench coach. Josh Harrison was a 6th round pick. One of Cody's favorite, 13th round pick, Tony Campana.
Ooh,
and in the 27th round, back then they did 40 rounds. In the 27th round of 2008, the Cubs drafted a pitcher named Sonny Gray.
Wow.
Had a broken ankle, didn't play most of his senior year in high school, didn't sign, and then later went back and got his major league career going, and clearly is.
Okay.
Sonny Gray's another name, could be out there. You're looking for a pitcher. What if the Cardinals want to deal Sonny Gray?
Again,
okay.
Well, you talk about him, you can talk about Eric Fetty. Like, it's the same situation. Do the Cardinals want to talk trade with the Cubs?
You want to talk about drafts that went bad. And I'm not saying the Bears draft is a bad one. I'm just saying let's all calm down about all of it. 2005, tell me how many of these names you recognize from the Cubs draft. This is when I really, like, I'd always been a Cubs fan. This is when I first started officially covering the Cubs. And their first draft, when I started covering them, was Mark Pollock, Donnie Veal, Mark Holloman, Mike Billick, Dylan Johnston, Scott Taylor, Kyle Reynolds, Trey Taylor, Jake Moiko, Matt Avery, Mike Phelps, John Mueller, Roger Evanson. I left off on it. Have you heard of any of those guys?
No.
Donnie Veal's the one name I think people still kind of remember from that draft. Nothing happened, and they got nobody in 05.
You tell me if
2006 was Tyler Colvin first round.
Oh, Cubs legend. You tell me if I'm wrong about this, because I was so young. In 2005, I was a freshman in high school, okay? Mm-hmm. And I was just, living the dream of, one day seeing the Cubs win the World Series, not really knowing how it all works out.
We all were,
right?
Yeah.
But for you though, and what I mean by that is, like, I didn't follow the minor league system. And the thing is at that time, it was hard to do that.
Yeah.
Didn't have, like,
right.
The internet was
totally
there,
different.
but, like, it's not available like it is today.
Right.
Right. So at that time, was it easy to kind of follow the minor league system?
No, you had no idea.
Someone like
you had no idea on any of this. The only time I ever heard about any of the prospects was getting, like, your Baseball America magazine. You'd be like, oh, okay, these are the top 10 guys. Sure, they're playing at this level. But you weren't deep diving on how most of those guys weren't doing. It's totally changed.
Yeah.
Fans and people that want to get into the business, they have a way more access to all of that stuff. And
I think it's just
so does the
different
team.
now.
Like, I remember when Theo came and all of a sudden he decided to put cameras into his minor league ballparks, Iowa, wherever they were. I think they were still Peoria that time. Yeah. And it was like they were putting them all over their minor league parks. And it's like they were putting all this equipment in. And he had talked Ricketts into, you got to do this. We need to be able to sit in our office and watch guys take their at-bats every night. Mm-hmm. I was like, how did nobody think of this before? Like, what?
This happened in 2011, 2012?
Yeah, this was like 2012. Like, you went to Iowa and was like, what is all this equipment? It was like, this is Theo.
Yeah.
They can tune into any of their minor league games now and watch it live whenever they want, wherever they want, on their iPad. And it was like, huh. I mean, they're not just counting on Tom Smith to send his written report in the next day via pigeon.
Yeah, right?
So,
yeah,
they had the internet, but it wasn't.
Yeah. I'm not saying that it's an excuse. That it's okay that happened. It's more of just, like, I think times have really changed when it comes to the minor leagues and how people cover it and how fans even follow it. Because I admittedly, I didn't care about any of the prospects until probably when Theo Epstein came in and he made it possible to.
Well, and it was like, oh, this guy knows what he's doing. And then when he started getting them, and you were like, well, this guy's playing this year.
The only prospects,
Chris Bryant, he seems pretty good.
The only prospects that I can remember as a teenager growing up that, like, that made me irrationally angry is, like, Felix PA not living up.
Right, yeah. Corey Patterson was a first-round pick.
And Corey Patterson's, his issue was more about injuries.
Josh Vitters never developed. But it is, like, the Cubs were living in the ice age, and so were a lot of other teams, but the Cubs were in the ice age. And Ricketts, give him credit, he listened to Theo, and at least that is something certainly that they started to improve, including the facilities internationally, which have also helped them. All right, one more. 2014 draft. Now, this is an interesting one because they hit on 3.
Yeah.
Schwarber at number 4 overall, instant success. Justin Steele in the 5th round, not instant success, but now looks like a pretty good pick. Dylan Cease the round after that in the 6th round. Okay, so 3 names stand out, and you're like, wow, that's a good pick. That's a good pick. That's a good pick. That's how you look at it and say, when you talk about the NFL draft, you're like, man, if the Bears could do a Schwarber, a Steele, and a Cease in this draft, now we're cooking with oil. But remember, the Cubs also made 40 picks in that draft. 7 of the 40 players made Major League Baseball at some point. the hit rate in Major League Baseball's way off.
Yeah.
And only 3 of them you've ever heard of.
Yeah.
Like the other 4
but now
we're not talking about, you still don't know
they
who
do
are.
20 rounds now, though. So, like, I think there's the more likelihood of players signing.
Yeah.
Like high school athletes, they're more likely to sign now, I think. And I could be wrong on that, but it feels like they are. But also because there are 20 rounds, you know, the maybe not likelihood of them making Major League Baseball, but at least playing in the minors with the organization. Because if we go let's just say last 7-8 years of Cubs drafts, I think there's more guys in these drafts that you're like, oh yeah, that's a recognizable name. If you've really followed the team, if you've really covered the team, I think you could find many names in multiple drafts. You're like, oh yeah, he made a couple. He made some appearances. Oh, he had a Linsanity run in AAA once.
Yeah, it's real easy to go back 3-4 years and find any draft and say, oh man, they could have had this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy. Like it just is. Gary says, come on, Luke. I don't know what he's saying. Come on, Luke. Context matters. No, it's great that they found Steele, they found Cease, they found Schwarber.
Yeah.
They had 40 picks, and I'm thrilled that they found 3 really good players in there. Like that's sort of the way it works. Now they've had some years where it just
Gary also points out Junior Lake. When did they take Junior Lake? 2008.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't remember. He played.
I
remember he played Junior Lake.
I don't
what
have
about him.
I don't have 2 Junior Lake jerseys. I would never buy 21.
A lot of people
that doesn't have Sosa on it.
Who was? Why can't I think of his? I'm missing his name. The catcher, the big. All he could do was hit. They called him around the same time, 2008. Catcher that could hit.
Was it? You're not talking about Soto, right?
No. It's a short name. No, not Soto. Jake Fox.
Jake Fox.
There's the pull.
Cubs legend.
And I don't hate football, Gary. I love football. I hope the Bears got 7 guys that are great.
Yeah. I think comparing the NFL draft and the MLB draft,
they're not the same.
It's obviously
grapes.
not the same. But I will say this: the MLB draft now, in this current era of time that we're living in, if you're a team and you aren't hitting in the first through 2 first and second round, it will cost you down the road. Mm-hmm. And that's what happened in the back end of the last decade. Now, these last couple drafts, I think the Cubs have at least potentially given them a chance for success, right? Cam Smith landed you Kyle Tucker, please extend him. Cade Horton, I think Jordan Wicks, you can make an argument that, he could have gone with someone else, but there's still more time to see what he can do.
Jensen didn't really work out.
But Ed Howard, it's such an unfortunate thing. Ed Howard hasn't worked out, and a lot of people used to bring up that, they could have had Jordan Walker, but he hasn't really panned out, and he was a number 1 prospect in baseball a few years ago.
I'm not saying the Cubs are bad at drafting. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying baseball is, if you think football is hard to pick, baseball is an even bigger crapshoot.
Right. And they took Matt Shaw 2 years ago, too. So, and Jackson Ferris that same year with Horton, they moved him, got Michael Bush. I mean,
we'll wait and see.
We'll
Cam
wait
Smith,
and see.
We'll find out if he was a good draft pick.
Right. So
got you Kyle Tucker for a year.
Yeah. And that's why it's impressive what Theo did during the first rebuild. Even though he drafted Almora, he also drafted Chris Bryant and Kyle Schwarber back-to-back years.
It worked.
Right. And Ian Happ in 2015.
That worked too.
So
that worked too.
Yeah.
Hey, one more time, don't forget. Saturday is our trip to Milwaukee, Potawatomi Casino and Hotel. $50 is the baseline deal, and that gets you, if you're 21 or older, $100 in casino play. It gets you drink tickets. It gets you a lunch buffet, and you get to watch the pregame show live. We'll also do a postgame show afterwards. This is all in a private room at the casino. You can add on a hotel stay if you want to that $50. You can add on a ticket to sit with us in the 200 level if you want to as well. Tickets are limited. They're going fast. So if you're going to do it, don't hesitate. Just go and do it and have a good time with us coming up on Saturday. We're looking forward to it. We will be back for a post-game show tomorrow after Game 1 of this series against the Pirates as the Cubs begin division play on Tuesday night. Thanks for checking out the CHGO Cubs Podcast presented by Toyota and Bet365. We will see you tomorrow. Gary's still going on about the draft picks.
CJ Edwards, 40th
Gary will be
round
carrying
pick.
this over in the Discord because he is a diehard, and we appreciate it. Thank you. Till tomorrow, fly the W.
We all silly. like the mayor.